Welcome to How to Transform All Areas of Your Life All Year. So the last two posts of this year, I'm choosing to reflect on what happened in 2018 and then to powerfully set up 2019 and creating a life and a business I love. So here in How to Transform All Areas of Your Life All Year, let's talk what happened in 2018 from an aspect of first, focusing on what I talk about often, the 7 steps of success. And those are spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, playful, physical, and financial. And then we're going to talk about how that also translates into passion and purpose, okay? So part 1, my word for 2018 was faith. And wow, when I tell you my faith was tested in every area of my life, wow. Like I don't know about you, I had you have those years, and I don't know if this year was that year for you, but you have those years where, at the end of the year, you're just like, wow, like you feel like you've gone through like 10 years or 20 years or 50 years all in one year. That so much has happened, and then you've grown in so many areas from the inside out that it's amazing, but it's also overwhelming all at the same time. So that was 2018 for me in so many ways. And so faith, on a spiritual level, I believe that everything either aligns with faith, hope, love, peace, joy, unity, community, freedom, or it doesn't. And I believe we have a creator, and I believe in the universe, and I believe that everything is centered around love or not love. So depending on where you are, you guys, I just got my bangs cut, and so it's kind of distracting me. So depending on where you are with yourself spiritually, basically my 7 steps to success, it just means to focus on developing your inner self and focusing on reconnecting with who you are at your purest form. So one of the ways that I do this, and I implemented this year, was I keep a picture of myself at the age of 5 in a ballerina tutu, going like this in my ballet outfit, and I ask myself every day, is little Katrina happy? Meaning, am I fully living out who I was at a year, 2 years, 5 years old freely? Am I expressing myself fully? Am I creating fully? And that same night, you guys, and this is another reason why I picked this picture. That same night, you guys, I was doing my ballet performance, and it was like 20 of us. My mom and dad are in the front row, and there was probably, I don't know, like 1,000 people in the audience, okay? Or at least it seemed like that to my little 5-year-old self. And we're doing the performance, and there's not enough space in the camera to show you, but imagine like a yoga pose where you're straddling, and then you're looking through your legs down, right? And I literally, in the middle of the performance, I didn't care, there was music playing, etc. I said, and I waved through the middle of my legs, "Hi mommy, hi daddy," and everyone bust out laughing because it's like a ballet performance, there's music, and here comes a little Katrina, freely, "Hi mommy, hi daddy." So that picture reminds me of that night, okay? So those are some of the examples. So this year, expressing myself fully, playing more and more full out, and I'll talk about that more, really started to unleash who I truly am in full freedom. Mentally, you guys, I was tested this year on so many different components of all those aspects: spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, playful, physical, financial, and maintaining my peace. Maintaining my calm, choosing that no matter what circumstance was going on in that moment, I was going to repeatedly choose peace. I was going to repeatedly choose faith. And in living in this year, even though it's been one of the hardest years of my life, it's also been one of the most years that I've felt alive. So I joke and I say, but it's really true, that I feel like this year has been like my grad school of life. So those of you that have either, you know, maybe graduated from high school, graduated from middle school, graduated from elementary, graduated from high school, graduated from college, graduated from grad school, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We all have these periods of time where we're doing so many different things and you're fully present, but at the same time, you have your eye on a target, like on a bullseye, or you have an address in your GPS. And it's like this dance of floating between the present and dealing with current circumstances and then changing your perspective on them, but also focusing on the future and creating the life and the business you love. So emotionally on that level, you guys, I also reflected on the past 6 years, how I've transformed every area of my life, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, and that financially I have time freedom, location freedom, and then I'm creating the platform to get to and arrive at financial freedom. So celebrating all those past, you know, wins, and that with time, effort, and energy, I've gotten to XYZ, or physically losing over 55 pounds 4 years ago, keeping it off. And this year, on also an emotional level, I also finished my Reiki level 3 certification. So I'm a master Reiki, have certified master in Reiki. And I also took a chakra class with Danielle Hall. I also, on a physical and emotional level, invested more time in sound baths and meditation, visualization, prayer, of course, just different modalities that speak with me on a transformational aspect. Also, in alignment with that, you guys, this year, I competed in my 3rd bikini fitness show, utilizing Herbalife Global Nutrition as my main supplement focus, as well as, and that was all year, as well as being trained by Team Edge again, so Ingrid and Joe, so shout out to Ingrid and Joe, and placed 3rd. And if you've ever competed in fitness shows or if you've done anything athletic, you know what level of focus, dedication, commitment it takes. And no excuses on your food, no excuses on the nutrients, you know, to get you there, no excuses on your workouts. And so I love always living now a healthy lifestyle. So some of you may or may not know, I have not drank any alcohol now for over 4 years. I've not consumed any sweets probably for over 2 years, other than maybe like some chocolate here and there, because I realized, you guys, to be my best self, that was not something that I wanted anymore. And it was been there, done that, over it, and zero judgment to anyone that does that or chooses to do it. But I realized that it was actually distracting me from my full potential, and that I would often use different things as a crutch. So also on a physical level, I danced so much more this year. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I post, you know, dance videos from time to time and different things, because it also reminds me, you guys, of myself as a child. Middle school, I used to dance a ton, and different times that I danced without any liquor. So one of the things, and I'll talk about this more in the next episode, that I want to do in 2019 is be also part of a dance performance. So I love all kinds of dance, lyrical, I love also hip hop, just all kinds. I love to just move and be in the moment and have fun. And so spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. So that was a ton of transformation. And that transformation, you guys, when I compete, like I remember this time, like I remember going on stage the night before, and when we had check-ins, because you always have check-ins the night before, and I remember practicing on stage the night before, and the levels of confidence I felt now compared to back in 2014. And if you don't know anything about competing, part of competing is getting on stage in a bikini and in heels that are this big, and basically walking around and posing, you know, fully to basically show off your assets, so to speak. And so coming from a background of ex-corporate exec, wearing black suits, being super, you know, not free, to then fully being myself and reviving and recreating and doing something that I wanted to do and transform and inspire through fitness back in high school, but also now having the opportunity to do it with money and business has been such an incredible feeling. So spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, playful. I scheduled so much more time for fun, you guys, this year. From the very beginning of the year. So when I started off the year, and I'm gonna put this in the post and the related posts, I always start off the year or end the year with basically an intentional post to set up the next year powerfully. So my year, I started off 2018 was, you know, with the word faith, but my subtitles for the year basically was vibes, value, and tribe. So as I was going through these 7 steps to success, I was always very intentional of what my energy is and my focus is for the day, and how I was showing up and what attitude I was choosing and how I was choosing to be with myself, how I was choosing to be with others, and then value. That I set up the tone that no matter what, everywhere I went, I always wanted to add value to the space. I always wanted to add value to the room. And shout out to Brendan Bouchard, because as being, you know, a student last year and listening to High Performance Habits this year 6 times, I really got intentional on those 3 words, and just thinking about, like, when I walked into a space or an event or a meeting, what was my 1-word focus that I wanted to bring in? What was my, you know, 3-word focus that I wanted to bring into that environment, to that community? Speaking of which, then community. So part of this year was all about also creating community. And so speaking of which, with spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, connected with so many people, you guys, from making more friends. Shout out to April with Georgia State University, to creating community at WeWork, hosting, which is where I am now, hosting lunch and learns, hosting, thank goodness it's Mondays, with smoothie bowls and parfaits, and so much more. So launching our podcast. So you can look down at the infographic below where I kind of outline basically, you know, celebrates for the year. And I'll talk about a bit more about that in financial and passion and purpose. You know, creating with influencers and bloggers and getting over 3,000 to 5,000 applications. It was over 3,000 just in January through March alone, you guys. And not only creating community, but truly connecting and creating community with people that I love and could see myself being friends with, regardless of how the passion and purpose and business, you know, relationship would continue. Because being in corporate before and being in other environments before, you know, we don't always get to choose who we work with. And part of my freedom and my intention as an entrepreneur was having time, location, community, and financial freedom, and the ways that we do business. So with that, spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, playful, I talked about like scheduling more time for fun, you guys. If you follow me on Instagram, I just posted, at the end of 2018, I posted, for example, 12 themes. So the same 12 themes we share on our blog, on our podcast, I basically made a series of posts. And I did so many fun things this year. Like from the very beginning of the year, again, setting up that focus of vibes. Even when I went to our Herbalife nutrition training in January, I intentionally made time to go to Disney World. I rode Rites of Passage with the Avatar. If you haven't done that ride yet, you guys, or if you haven't gone to Disney World, I highly recommend. I made time for fun here in Atlanta. Like I went, like one of the posts I just posted was playing at an aerial gym class with aerials and hanging upside down. Years ago, I would have shown that side of me to my closest friends, but not really always been myself. So that playtime. We also hosted workshops overseas in London and in Barcelona. And in between that, you guys, and during it, I would do things that were fun, that were engaging, like hands-on smoothie bowl workshops, or, you know, going on a tour bus around Barcelona, or meeting a random friend, shout out to Anya, when I was running to the bathroom in McDonald's before I went to Park Yale. So being very free and creating community, but also having fun all the time. So spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, playful, physical, and financial. So the way I approach financial, and if you look at my 90-day plan, which I also put as a related post, I purposely put finances last. And I'm gonna explain why. Because I know some of you may be thinking about that first. And that's great if that's you, and that's great if that's where you are. But let me explain why I do this and see if maybe you resonate with this. Years ago, you guys, I would put money first and people pleasing first. Well, in that process, after I left college and was fully doing what I loved, and then piece by piece did some things I loved, but let go of a lot of things that I loved because I was people pleasing or because of money. And so as I realized that in my own journey, I realized the way to free myself from that is to fully focus first on passion, on purpose, on people, then on profits. Because then the profits were coming from a totally different place. And I literally met this lady yesterday at Kroger, Maxine, and we were talking about this, and it feels so different when you know that your money is coming from everything that you love. And then purpose, all the things you've overcome, and helping those that have been where you've been, reframing your mind to realize that all those things meant something and they served a purpose. So I love simplifying health, wealth, and business, and I went from simplifying it to complicating it to going back to simple, and or doing simple for others but complicated for myself, so I know what that feels like. I know what that self-sabotage is like. So I'm deeply passionate about that and helping others create what they love and a life and a business they love. So that, I frame it in that way. And then I also frame my days and my weeks and my months into 3 focal points: content, courses, and community. So that I know, and obviously all 3 of those overlap because content will create community and connect to courses. Same with courses, same with community. But I realized in 2018, so as I cleared clutter and got super clear with clarity in creating, we set different goals across content, across courses, and community. We exceeded goals across content, like the levels of content that was created on our platform with Fit Life Creation was massive. The volume of content, not just on our platform, you guys, but being on so many platforms across, like social channels, being on Facebook, being on Instagram, being on Pinterest, being on Instagram stories, being on YouTube, launching our podcast, having guests like Chris with Amateur Traveler that has had over 4 million downloads this year. So creating community. So massive, massive value across health, wealth, and business, and across our 12 themes there. Then, and obviously that created community, helped us connect with you guys in some of the campaigns that we launched with influencers, over 1 million reach. So amazing results, amazing earned media results. I'm gonna talk more about that. Then courses, oh my God. Like when I look back on this year, despite, and I'm gonna talk about circumstances versus fighting for your freedom and creating what you love, I am so proud of myself, and you should be too, for the resilience and fighting for my freedom despite not the best of circumstances, you guys. So courses, we relaunched our 7-day challenge, online automated challenge with health, wealth, and business. We relaunched and updated content twice on our monthly mastermind. We had over, I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, the community numbers, hold on. So we did that. We launched our In a Day series with social media, with websites, with blog, with videos, and with courses. We launched our In a Week series with how to create and launch a course in a week. with a 5-part series. We launched how to build your brand with influencers and get results online course. We are about to launch our Moneymaker course. We already have it listed on some other platforms. Speaking of platforms, we were on WeWork, so hosting Lunch and Learns here, hosting Thank Goodness It's Mondays, creating an amazing community here and setting the stage super powerfully. We joined in May. I published a book. I published how to create retreats, and it's the first in the Create It series, which coming up, it's going to be how to create community with influencers, how to create and launch your course in a week. So it's literally repurposing the content, you guys, and being super, super simple, super intentional. And right now I'm working on part 1 of how passion plus purpose equals profits. And that book will be published by March of 2019 or sooner. And wow, like when I look back, we launched our Transformation Academy with Marianne Yip, which has over 170,000 followers on Instagram alone in 2018. So I'm thinking of courses. Then WeWork was in May, then June, July, August. Then plan for pop-ups and Transformation Mastermind pop-ups. So our family also dealt with a lot of different things with health with my mom. Thank goodness she's on the other side of it. And hip replacement, walking now, back surgery, a whole bunch of things, you guys, which was really, really, really hard for me to watch my mom / best friend go through that. And when I went to go visit intentionally my family in Austria and my family in Bulgaria, I knew that on a number of different transformation levels, I needed to go see my family. And you know, it's definitely a transition and harder to see them once to twice a year. And in part of that, I realized, wait a minute, I have the freedom to create what I want. I have the time freedom and I have the location freedom. So I created a transformation pop-up in London. We co-hosted with Michelle Lowbridge, who is an energy editor, does a lot of things with money, and Celia Litvin, and also a founder with and a mental health wellness expert, and an app founder and creator and developer, and so many more things. She's freaking amazing inside and out. She looks like Gal Gadot from Wonder Woman and has such a sweet, amazing spirit. Like, love, love, love her. Then we co-created a pop-up in Barcelona, and you know, and created with so many influencers, you guys. Speaking of community and speaking of growth, speaking of community and speaking of growth, we, you know, not only expanded reach at times to over 40,000 on Pinterest, massive growth on the podcast, like sometimes 100, 200%, 300% growth over a week. Over 1,000, well over 1,000 downloads. Well over 7 different features already and lining up massively into 2019. And I mentioned earlier, over 3,000 applications for influencers creating community in January through March alone, and helped and launched and did different things with influencers. You guys, were on over 7 influencer platforms, from Rep to Collaborate to Hype Market to also hosting and doing campaigns with Tribe, with Ninja. Also creating our own influencer platform where people will come directly and apply to be in our courses, in our masterminds, in our retreats, in our academies, and also help them create, okay? Helped influencers create courses this year. Also, already proposed and did proposals with retainers, you guys, for higher educational institutions to implement our lifestyle entrepreneurship model and lifestyle entrepreneurship brand with tips, tools, and technology like Herbalife Nutrition, like meal bags, like Canva, like Kajabi, all part of the system, just like we do with our own community and our influencers too. So leverage and powerful, huge circles of influence, and travel blogger conferences and circles of influence, and much more. We also co-hosted speed networking at Travel Bloggers Exchange. You guys, just blown away by so much gratitude. Now, if you're looking at and you reference the post from the 90-day plan, full disclaimer, we did not hit yet our revenue targets and goals. However, what I realized, and this is my message to you, get clearer with your faith sooner, get clear with your feeling and the feelings you want centered around what you're creating, your freedom, your community sooner, and take action sooner, and rinse and repeat. Because I was looking at you guys the last couple months, October through December has been more action. December specifically, let me talk about December. December, I keep track of the action I take on an app called Focus Matrix, because it helps me hold myself accountable in every area of my life. It has 4 quadrants. You can put different things in different quadrants that speak to you. And in December alone, and December's not over, so I'm filming this still in December, over 500 different things done. Versus when I calculated out my whole average, because I love numbers. I'm also a certified public accountant. I love to track things. I've done tons of things with data analysis, and that's how I also approach community, digital marketing, influencer marketing, and more. The average for the year was about 200 to 300 things done a month, okay? In December alone, it's over 500. So that shows me how the capacity has shifted massively, you guys. And so those are my kind of 3 tips for you to focus on as you wrap up 2018 and you start to hold yourself accountable and look at, for 2019, how to create a life and a business you love confidently and freely. And the faith, the hope, and the love centered behind that as well. So here's to you, creating a life and a business you love freely, with time, location, and financial freedom, if you're willing to fight for your freedom, and or change the trajectory of your family, and or do the same for your business.